So for the past few weeks, I've been talking a lot about inflation, the recession, personal finances, and things like that. But I got a question just this morning that asked, is the war between Russia and Ukraine over? And the answer is no. But I started to think about this and I started to do a little bit of research and figured out that things changed this morning. There were changes. Now, for the past few weeks, the reason I haven't talked about the war between Russia and Ukraine is because things just kept flowing. It was about the same. Nothing changed. However, this morning, we saw a change. The big change that we saw this morning is that Poland, they decided that they are actually going to be sending 4 fighter jets to Ukraine. Poland, okay? Poland is a member of NATO. That is extremely important to understand. I say this because Russian President Vladimir Putin has stated that any intervention between NATO and specifically the United States will cause more pain, will cause more fatalities. So here's why I bring this up. For the past month or so, we've known that the United States, they planned on sending over tanks, right? And this was a big issue. Russian President Vladimir Putin, came out and condemned the United States. Don't do this. Don't get involved, and all that. Well, nothing really happened. Yes, Ukraine got hit with more missiles, stuff like that. But that's pretty much what's been going on over the past year. Now, I bring this up because what we heard was that NATO cannot send jets. Don't send jets, okay? Here's the thing. When Poland came out and said, and they confirmed this yesterday, they confirmed that they will send 4 MiG, or I don't know how you say it, MiG-29 fighter jets to Ukraine. And they're going to do that over the next few days. Now, a lot of people, when I started doing some research, people were freaking out, thinking, does this mean World War III? Because now a member of NATO is sending 4 fighter jets to Ukraine. Here's the thing. Ukraine already has some of these jets. These are not new jets. Okay, these aren't F-16s. Okay, these MiG-29 fighter jets, these are much less advanced than F-16s that the United States currently has. So because of that, these are still fighter jets. Don't get me wrong. This is still very important. But does this mean that World War III is coming? No. This doesn't mean World War III is just right around the corner. Now, World War III is closer than you might think, simply because right now, according to reports, NATO is getting tired of Russia, which we think we have been for the longest time, but getting tired of Russia, getting tired of their threats. Just wants this to end. And the only way this is going to end is if NATO starts to step up, provide more support to Russia. The only issue is it cannot come from the United States. The United States can't be like, you know what, we're just going to end this. Because if you end it between Russia and Ukraine, chances are there's going to be a lot more issues here in the United States as well. So one thing I can tell you is that Ukraine has had around 50 of these MiG-29 fighter jets. So they had 50. Not that they do now. According to the reports, they're now indicating that they're down to about 32. They've lost about 18 over the past year. Now, here's something else that you need to know. What are these? What's the big threat behind these jets? Well, it's actually the missiles that they carry, because the missiles that they're carrying now, these are American-made, the AGM-88 high-speed anti-radiation missiles. That's what they're carrying. So Poland is going to supply additional fighter jets. The United States is still supplying the missiles. Russia is not happy. Vladimir Putin warned NATO, don't get involved. NATO hasn't listened. So what is the next step? Well, the reports now indicate that the next step is Russia is going to increase their attacks. Well, according to the New York Times, they state that Russia will likely turn to cyber war this coming spring. Now, it's not going to be towards the United States, it will be towards NATO, but it doesn't rule out that there could be additional attacks to other NATO members. Again, President Biden said this a while back. Any attack to a NATO member is an attack on all NATO members. This would mean war. I don't know what we've been doing so far, but it seems like it's pretty much a war at this time. Now, what does this mean for you and I here in the United States? Well, this is what this means. First off, there's a good chance, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but there's a good chance China could come out and come support Russia. They could provide weapons, they could provide military equipment, they could provide funding, they could back them in some other way. This would be a problem because right now the United States is not technically involved in the war, even though we kind of are. So even though we are providing stuff to Ukraine, if China decides they're going to provide anything to Russia, well, guess what the United States is going to do? The United States is going to come out and pretty much condemn China. Say, no, you can't do that, right? And that could mean we place sanctions on China. We already have extremely high tensions between the United States and China. They're not coming down. Things are not getting better anytime soon. And so what is our next step? Well, according to reports, it means this next step is going to be that the U.S. economy is going to collapse. We're going to see the Chinese economy collapse. We're going to see pretty much a global collapse all over. It's not going to be good. So I wanted to bring this to your attention because some people are saying World War III is just right around the corner. And yes, World War III is potentially getting closer. The problem is we may not get that far. And the reason why we may not get that far is simply because there's so many other issues as well. Nobody wants to go to a world war. Nobody. Okay? The United States doesn't want to jump into this mix between Ukraine and Russia. China doesn't want to come into the fold between Russia and Ukraine either. And China and the United States don't want to get into it either. Right now, there's so many problems. And again, I bring this up every single day that you can look out, into the, your city, your state, wherever. You're going to see a bunch of different problems. Okay? This is a major problem. Because yes, if the United States is going to be looked at as you're helping out Ukraine, and Russia comes out and starts just hammering Ukraine with more missiles, guess what the United States is going to do? We're going to provide more equipment. We're going to provide more funding. And when we do that and Russia is backed into a corner, they are going to look towards China. This is what multiple White House officials and Pentagon officials believe, is that China is looking at assisting Russia. It's just a matter of time. Okay? So keep that in mind. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the United States is going to do about Russia, the Russian jet, taking down the U.S. drone in the Black Sea. That's still an issue. I don't know. I have no clue what the United States is going to do, but as soon as I find out, as soon as I get more information, I promise I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. Again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.